Taking pride of place in the Lagoon range, the brand new Lagoon 38 is the latest evolution in Lagoon's entry-level cruising range. The Lagoon 38 replaces the ever-successful Lagoon 380, which sold over 1,000 hulls. So this one has big shoes to fill, and it brings new design, new volume, and new performance in a catamaran in this segment. Come on board and let's take a look through this brand new model. So for the first time on a Lagoon catamaran of this size, we see the single level living style that we've come to love from the 42 and the 43 and the larger models. So access onto the back of the vessel is very easy. Sideboarding is very good with a good overhang on the stern platform. A nice aft platform with one step up to the main cockpit that feeds into the saloon. So very easy to move around. All the moldings have been designed very well, and it's a very ergonomic cockpit for life on board. Before we jump into the entirety of the vessel, let's take a look at the engines and what powers this vessel through the water when under motor. Twin Yanmar engines at 29 horsepower each power this vessel to efficient cruising speeds, and there is around 400 litres of diesel on board, so that's 200 litres per side. The vessel is propelled with a sail drive on a fixed or a folding propeller, depending on how you specify the vessel. The engine rooms are quite large. You know, Lagoons are renowned for their wide hulls, especially as it comes towards the back of the hull. And this means we've got space for a water maker in here, all the electronics, all the water systems. In fact, we split the water systems on one side and the electronics on the other side, just to keep them separate. But plenty of space in here. Importantly for servicing as well, the service techs always love to service a Yanmar engine when it's installed on a Lagoon. Before we move forward, I'll point out on the stern of the boat here, we have one of the two factory solar options. So these are solid panels mounted on top of the dinghy davits. The davits themselves are nice and high, so the dinghy is lifted well clear of the water, especially when you're running at speed, well clear of any chop coming up under the bridge deck. The solar panels themselves are 300 watt each, so a total of 900 watt of solar across the back there, giving your batteries plenty of power. As we move forward into the cockpit, very good headroom here. I'm about 6 foot and there's quite a bit above me. The cockpit does not feel cluttered at all. It feels light, open and airy. Certainly doesn't feel like we're in a boat. It feels like we're on a boat. Centrally located, just to port in the cockpit, we have the exterior dining table with a bench down the port side as well that wraps around the mouldings here, creating a nice area, and we have more seating on the starboard side as well, facing aft. A forward bench at the back of the cockpit makes the cockpit a very social and very comfortable place to hang out. As you move around the cockpit, a key improvement on this model, and that's really just relying on owner feedback from previous models, is the amount of storage in the cockpit. So things like lines, life jackets, spare parts, all the stuff you need while you're sailing the boat and need it accessible. So we have one locker here. We have another locker here, if I open it, and they actually connect. So from that speaker to that speaker is one huge locker. Additionally, on the outboard side on port here, we have another locker here. Further forward is a gas locker, so it's not really storage in there, but this cockpit storage has had a massive upgrade on this model, and it's going to be super useful. Just under the steps here, we have a nice Yeti esky sitting on here. A great place for an esky or a bucket or a grab bag or whatever you want to put here to have it accessible while you're using the vessel. A trademark of these new generation Lagoons, we've seen it on the Lagoon 43, we now see it on the Lagoon 38 we're on here, are these huge wide opening doors. So the doors pocket away into the bulkhead or just behind the bulkhead where the helm station is, leaving this huge expanse open and really making this feel like one area. The saloon and the cockpit are one. If you had the option to enclose the back of the vessel in the protective clears, say for a liveaboard catamaran with the clears closed on a rainy or a windy cool day, this area in here would be one huge living room and a very, very livable area. Before we go outside and look at the exterior of the boat, we'll just look through the internals of the boat, because this is really where this model comes into its own. There is so much volume on this new generation Lagoon 38, but before we go down into the cabins, the dining table here, slightly offset to port, is perfectly in line with the external dining table as well. So opening up the doors, you can have plenty of people all dining around one table, and that's not something we've seen before at all on a catamaran of this size. So it's really about having heaps of friends on board and entertaining. This table can drop down. There is a smaller table available, so this can be used as a more of a coffee style setup. This bench here, whilst it can be secured, is loose furniture, so we can secure it for passage making, but this is loose, so you can move this bench to here, you can put it in the cockpit, you can put it at the back of the cockpit table. So there's lots of options, like we see on the larger model, the Lagoon 43, for dining and setup, especially as you wish. We've got this in boat show mode now, so the doors are all the way open. If we were live aboard, we would probably have 2 of the 3 panels more fixed here. We'd have an external table and an internal area, and then we might just use the 1 panel door for access. So very, very versatile, very configurable depending on what you're doing with the boat or what you're doing that day. Moving forward into the main saloon area, there is plenty of storage. So the galley on this vessel is forward, which I love because we are right in front of the saloon windows. And as we are sitting here or standing here, doing the washing up, making a sandwich, making some lunch, if we're sailing, if we're underway, I can actually keep a very good look out. So I think it's a great spot to have the galley. Also for those that might get a bit queasy, it's great to be, at deck level, looking out at where you're going rather than looking backwards or, cooking down in one of the hulls. So it's a great place for the galley and plenty of storage underneath the countertop here. It's worth noting, every single Lagoon now comes with a 2-part filtration system from the freshwater tank through a fine micron filter, followed by a UV filters to completely sterilize the water, thus reducing reliance on plastic bottles when on board. Just over here on the starboard side of the saloon, we have the cooking station, I call it, a 3-burner stove up top and a oven down below. Just after that, the pride of place 300-litre fridge. So this is a stunning feature, and maximum refrigeration on any boat is always a good thing, and we have plenty of it here on the Lagoon 38. Generally, the saloon feels very large. If we compare it to other models, the Lagoon 380, this feels a lot bigger, and even the Lagoon 40, which was a slightly bigger boat, the saloon still feels bigger, more open, more ventilation, and it's a good layout. For those that do want a TV, you can put a TV just here, so good location opposite the lounging area. Now, before we head into the master, we will do the guest cabins. The vessel is available in a 3-cabin or a 4-cabin. On this model, it's key to note that the 2 cabins on one side, be that on a 4-cabin vessel on both sides or the 3-cabin vessel on the starboard side, share 1 bathroom. And whilst this does mean that the facilities are being shared by both cabins, it means that those facilities are so much bigger, much more comfortable. You're not showering over the top of the toilet like you are on some other models. So let's take a look. So the head and shower compartment is accessed directly down the companionway, so very easy access for your day guests or those treating it as a day head. We go in, there's a basin straight in front of us, aft to the shower compartment, which can be totally sealed off, and then forward is the toilet. But in here, this compartment is bigger, more comfortable than we see on quite a few of the bigger models that, when we try and squeeze two bathrooms into one hull. So moving into the aft cabin, we come into a cabin which for a 38-footer has an enormous bed in it and plenty of storage, massive windows and really good ventilation. So I don't know what there's not to love about a cabin like this. It's comfortable. I'd say that's probably a queen bed. It's a good size. Outboard here, plenty of hanging room. It's important to remind yourself when you're looking through this boat that we are on a 38-foot platform. We're not looking through a 42, and when you think of that, it really comes apparent at how much volume there is on this boat, especially if we look at older models with the older styling and older design and some other models on the market. Moving forward into the bow cabin on this starboard side. This is the smallest of the 3 cabins, but there's not really much difference between the aft cabin and the bow cabin. Storage is exactly the same. I can't see any difference there. Storage behind the door here, and protected pocket storage as well, which I think is very important. Easy to see, you can see what you've got and it doesn't fall out. The only difference in here is that the bed is very, very slightly narrow at the head end, but not by any noticeable amount. I don't think it would impact your stay at all. You will notice here on the bulkhead we have there's a Lumar hatch, a waterproof hatch. That is installed when the forward bow compartment is equipped with a mattress to make it a cabin. It acts as a secondary fire escape for that cabin. So if you do have those forward compartments just set up as storage, which a lot of our Australian owners do, then you do not have that Lumar hatch mounted in the wall. It is just the sand oak paneling. Talking of the paneling, it's this lovely sand oak. It's an Alpi wood that Lagoon are using. It's just one option. It's inoffensive. It's kind of a mid-tone, so it's not too light, not too dark. Holds up well in the sun. It's got a UV varnish on it, and we found that it's one of the best ones. So just one option on that, and yeah, makes the boat look very nice inside. On the topic of the wood and the construction of the vessel, it's worth noting that all the wood used in the construction of a Lagoon is FSC certified. So down into the master on the port side, master cabin, owner's cabin, called different things, means the same thing. But we've got a very large open cabin. And before I go into the cabin, I'll just point out, I've noticed walking down both companionways how wide they are, wider than we typically see on some of the bigger models. So this goes a long way in the master cabin to letting heaps of natural light in. When this door is open, this is a sliding door here for the cabin for privacy. When it's open, heaps of natural light and super easy to transit from the saloon down to here. So it makes this feel very large down here. Immediately as you descend the companionway, you're greeted by a workstation. There's plenty of storage. And in this part of the hull where there's the most volume, they've put all the living space here. So you spend a bit of time sleeping, of course, but when you're getting ready, you're getting changed, this is where you do it in the most voluminous part of the hull. With the very spacious bathroom, which we'll go through shortly, comfortable bed and this great living area, when you do close this door, it seals you off from the rest of the boat and it becomes like a bit of an oasis down here. It's very nice. Certainly doesn't feel like you're down in a cabin, you're just maybe in your waterfront residence. We'll talk about storage in a moment because it's very important in the owner's cabin. But looking forward, we have the master berth forward here, and again, taking up the full beam, so making use of all the real estate available. This is a huge bed, bigger than the beds on the larger models, I would say, albeit not walk around. So, you know, between varying sizes, there are certainly trade-offs and differences, and it's just a design feature of a smaller boat that the bed goes full beam. But I think overall, I would prefer this setup because you just get more mattress. Plenty of natural light, good ventilation, and secured storage as well. It's nice and cool down here. You know, we're in the south of France today. It's probably about 25 degrees at the moment. It's going to be about 28 today. Lagoons are renowned for being cool in the hot climates. Now this is due to good shading, especially in the saloon without any windscreen effect, but also good ventilation, and yet we haven't got much direct sunlight. The deck hatches are tinted as well, so despite it really warming up outside, it's nice and cool in here. Before we head into the bathroom, or the head, we'll just take a look at storage being all important in the owner's cabin. So plenty of storage here with good shelving. Storage under here with good shelving. There's a drawer here, good shelving under here. There's also every area of space has been made use of. So just in here, which would otherwise be a cavity. Good storage, 3 large shelves here, coming back over to the desk, 3 more shelves and a big one over the top. Nice large mirror, makes the cabin feel really big. Of course, stationary storage in here. And behind the bathroom door here is even better hanging storage and shelves. So if anyone's concerned about the storage on a 38-foot boat, I don't think you need to be. On a boat, you do bring less than you do in your house, but on this boat, you can bring more than you otherwise would. Storage as well here in the back of the door. and secret storage here for all those things that you don't want anyone to find. Moving further aft into the head and shower area, straight away inboard we have a sink with a vanity area and a toilet outboard. Further aft we come into the shower, which is absolutely huge. Now, this is one of the big benefits of putting the bathroom area at the back of the boat, is we're making much better use of the available volume in the hulls because they're wider towards the back. You'll notice there is a seat here. It does go on top of one of the fuel tanks, so there is a reason it looks like this. But on a blue water cruising vessel, often you'll be sailing or having a shower whilst you're at sea and the boat is moving. So to be able to sit down comfortably and rinse off just speaks volumes, and it's super useful rather than trying to balance while the boat's sailing across the ocean. There's plenty of natural light in here. It's white, it's bright, it doesn't feel pokey at all. I think it's a very comfortable bathroom, especially for a liveaboard blue water cruiser. Okay, we've done the inside. Let's take a look at the top. Okay, so we'll start at the helm station, which is where a lot of the magic happens. So the helm station, sports top design, as Lagoon are renowned for in the smaller models, super well connected to the cockpit area. Great for communication. You don't feel like you're separate from the guests or your family at all. My favorite features of the helm are how easy it is to reach everything. I can have a hand on the wheel, a hand on the throttles. I can be doing the winch with a hand on the wheel. Everything is within arm's reach. I do not have to move. The coach roof is low. We're good elevation here. I can see the port bow, I can see the starboard bow, and I can see the port quarter and the starboard quarter as well. So I've got very good visibility. And if I look through the panels in the bimini here, I've got very good visibility of the rig. So good position for command, very well connected and very secure. The bimini itself is a canvas bimini, and you can enclose it fully. So if you have the enclosure downstairs, you can add the enclosure here and you're fully cocooned. So if you're sailing offshore, you can have this zip down and it'll give you a big sense of security and safety that you're in the boat rather than perched on the side of the boat or hanging off the back of the boat or too high up on the boat. The navigation system on board is the 12-inch Raymarine plotter. We've got 2 MFDs. The autopilot is a Raymarine autopilot. We can do a chain counter, is also an option, making the boat even more usable with a short-handed crew. VHF up here, we have an electric winch for controlling all the sails, and it's worth noting that the mainsail sheet is on a double line system. So we do not have a traveller on this model, but we have all the control we need just using 2 lines going back to either side of the coach roof. The solar panels are 130 watts each, and there are 4 of them, so 520 watt here on the coach roof. Combine that with the solid panels that we have on the davits at the back, we've got just over 1400 watt of factory solar available. We have sun lounging cushions as well on the roof available, a nice space to hang out while you're underway or sailing or relaxing at anchor, very connected again to the helm. I often look at boats from the eyes of a skipper, being a skipper and captain myself, and looking around here I could have very good visibility on all my guests at all time, which is very important from a safety factor, especially when you're underway. Being a captain, the most important position on a boat is the captain's seat. On here, very comfortable, a molded seat that's integrated into the bimini top, very comfortable, and there is space for 2 up here as well. Moving around the vessel, plenty of handholds, things to hold on to. Certainly don't feel like you're needing to balance down the deck too much. Making your way to the bow, the hulls are very wide, as we've seen on the newer, more recent models, and this shows here. We've got such a big deck space here. On the foredeck here, the sun lounging cushions on the bow are sunk into a moulding, so they don't stick up as much, they're less likely to get wind caught under them, and it makes this a very comfortable area to hang out. Talking through some of the mechanics that we have here on the foredeck, we have a deck wash exit here, so you can hose the anchor down as it's coming up. The anchor and ground tackle is very similar to what we've seen on previous models, so I won't go through that. But under here we do have a big access hatch, so we can feed the chain into the anchor locker and monitor that. We obviously have the remote for the anchor as well in there, as well as a bit further aft, quite a large water tank. So the standard water setup on this boat is a 300 litre freshwater tank, and we can add an additional 200 litres under the berth in the master cabin, so 500 litres in total, and we can combine that with a 60 litre per hour water maker from the factory as well. So you can really be quite autonomous on this pocket cruising vessel. Just under the cushion here, slightly to starboard, there is a large hatch where we have the generator. So 6.5 kVA generator, and this goes to powering all your 230 volt systems on board. If you have air conditioning installed, which we can do on this model in the cabins, then you need the generator to power that. Otherwise, you can operate on a low voltage boat using batteries, solar, and a 12 volt water maker. While we're here, let's talk about the sail configuration. So the vessel itself comes with the 2 white sails as standard. So you get a standard mainsail and a Genoa, both in Dacron as standard. You can upgrade the mainsail with a square top for not that much money, and this does give you a bit of extra sail area quite up high where we want it. The Genoa, or jib, on this vessel is a self-tacking setup. So despite the mast being at the front end of the saloon, we are still able to have a self-tacking head sail. Now this is just because of the geometry of the boat. We've got a big enough J measurement between the forestay and the mast in order to have a good sized sail on a self-tacking track, making it very simple for sailing maneuvers. Optional sails, what can we do? We can do a code 0 pole on the front, or a bowsprit as some people call it, and of this you can fly a code 0 or an asymmetric spinnaker. We'd recommend at least one of these on a cruising vessel. It really expands your capabilities and means in those 10 knots sub winds, you can really get the boat going and get to your destination much faster. Additional storage that we have this on every model, but forward of the watertight bulkhead, forward of the forward cabins, there's a large storage compartment here. As I mentioned before, it can be optioned as a crew cabin or a kids cabin. Most owners just use it as storage, given the volume and the great use of space in there. Overall, this vessel ticks so many boxes and is such a great evolution in the new line of Lagoon catamarans. I think it'll be a sweet spot, and we're already seeing people who were traditionally looking at, say, a Lagoon 42, given the volume and the design and the sailing capabilities, they're now looking at the Lagoon 38 as a viable option. It's an amazing price point, it's got good volume, and it's a performer as well. So this pocket blue water cruiser is really going to take off in the catamaran market. My name is Joe Fox from the team at TMG Yachts. We do hope you enjoyed this video on the brand new Lagoon 38. If you liked what you saw, do like and subscribe. It'd be great to give you more of these videos again. We'll see you on the next one.